The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet. Jonas walked slowly through the lower district of the refugee zone, boots splashing in shallow puddles. The sky above was thick with smoke. Neon signs blinked weakly. He carried a small bag of food and parts, heading back to his small mechanic shop after a long day. That's when he heard it. A sound. Not loud, not sharp, just soft crying. He stopped, turned his head. It was coming from the alley to his left. Dark, narrow, cold. Most people would walk past it. Jonas didn't. He stepped into the alley, water squishing under his boots. Trash floated beside broken crates. The crying grew clearer now, high-pitched, weak. Then he saw it. A small figure half hidden behind a pipe, sitting in a shallow pool of dirty water. It was a child, an alien child. The boy looked no older than 5. His skin was pale blue. His big black eyes were full of tears. His clothes were ripped and soaked. His knees hugged his chest. His little arms trembled. Jonas stopped a few feet away, lowering his voice. "Hey, are you hurt?" The boy didn't answer. Jonas knelt slowly. "You're okay now, I'm not gonna hurt you." The child blinked, lips trembling. Jonas placed his bag down and slowly reached into his coat. He pulled out a wrapped protein bar and held it out. The boy flinched, then stared. Jonas didn't move. After a few seconds, the boy reached out with shaky fingers and took it. He held the bar close to his chest. Jonas gave a small smile. "You got a name, kid?" The boy didn't speak. Jonas tried again. "Where's your family?" The child looked up, eyes wide. Then, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, he said, "My mama went in there." He pointed with one small finger. Jonas followed the direction. Round metal grate, a sewer tunnel. Dark, wet, silent. Jonas frowned. "She left you here?" The boy shook his head quickly. "No," she said. "Wait here. I'll come back." "But it's been a long time." "How long?" The boy looked down. 3. Darks. 3 nights. Jonas stared at the tunnel. No one survived in those tunnels for 3 nights. Not unless they were hiding from something. He stood up. "You been alone this whole time?" The boy nodded. "No one saw you?" "They saw me," the boy whispered. "But they just looked away." Jonas felt something tighten in his chest. He looked down at the small alien child sitting in filthy water, clutching a food bar like treasure. Everyone had walked past, but this child hadn't vanished. He'd just been ignored. Jonas took off his coat and gently wrapped it around the boy's shoulders. "Come on, let's get you dry." The boy didn't move, but Mama's still in there. Jonas knelt again. "I'll go find her." The boy looked scared. "What if she's gone?" Jonas placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "Then we don't leave her alone, okay?" The boy sniffled, then slowly nodded. Jonas helped him up. The water dripped from his legs. He could barely stand. Jonas picked him up. The child was light. Too light. He carried the boy out of the water and sat him on a crate by the alley wall. "Stay right here, don't go anywhere, I'm going in." The boy's eyes were big. "Promise?" Jonas nodded. "Promise." He turned to the tunnel. It smelled like rust and mold. He took a small flashlight from his tool belt and opened the grate. The tunnel groaned. Darkness stared back. Jonas stepped in. His boots echoed. One step, then another. The child's voice floated. Behind him. "Be careful, there's a man in the tunnel." Jonas froze. "What man?" The boy looked down. "The one she was hiding from." Jonas looked back at the dark tunnel. He gripped his flashlight tighter. Now it wasn't just about finding someone, it was about protecting someone too. He whispered to himself, "Hang on, lady, I'm coming." And then he vanished into the dark. The UI tunnel swallowed him whole. Jonas stepped carefully, his flashlight cutting through the thick darkness. The wet floor squished under his boots, and the walls were covered in rust, mold, and old stains he didn't want to name. The smell was sharp, rotten, but he didn't stop. Not with a child waiting above, not with a mother possibly dying below. The boy's voice echoed in his mind. She said she'd come back, but there's a man in the tunnel. Jonas gripped a metal rod from his tool belt. He had no weapon, but he had something stronger. A promise. He'd told the boy, "I'll find her." So he would. About 20 steps in, Jonas found the first clue, a broken bracelet. It was small and made from soft green thread, alien fabric weaved with little stones. It lay beside a patch of dried blood on the floor. He crouched down, held it up to the light. The blood had dried. Days ago. He looked. Ahead, the tunnel curved, and from somewhere deep inside, a sound, not a voice, not a growl, just metal scraping stone. Jonas stood and walked faster. He kept the flashlight low, heart pounding. Then he saw it. A shape, half hidden behind an old crate. He raised his light. It was her. The alien woman lay, on the ground, arms tied above her head, wrapped in chains that connected to the wall. Her clothes were torn, her skin bruised. Her breathing was slow, but she was alive. Jonas rushed to her side. Hey, can you hear me?" Her eyelids fluttered. She groaned softly. He gently touched her arm. "It's okay. Your son sent me." That word, son, made her eyes open wider. She tried to speak, but her voice was dry, weak. Jonas pulled out a small water tube from his belt and brought it to her lips. She drank, coughed, then whispered, "He's safe." Jonas nodded. "Waiting for you." Her head dropped back in relief. Then she whispered something else, something that made Jonas freeze. "They're coming back." "Who?" he asked. She coughed again, fighting to stay conscious. "They take the women, the mothers. They say our children are resource material. I hid him. He was too small to scan. I told him to wait." She looked at him, eyes wide with pain and fear. "I didn't think they'd leave me alive." Jonas checked. Her chains, heavy, mechanical, locked with a key card. No way to cut them without noise. He stood quickly. "Hold on." She grabbed his sleeve. "Don't leave me. I'm not. I'm going to get something to break this." He turned, but he wasn't alone. From the shadows behind him, a figure stepped forward. Tall, covered in black armor, helmeted, silent. But the weapon in his hand wasn't silent. It powered up with a sharp electric hum. Jonas raised his flashlight and stared at the man. "I'm just here to help her," he said. The man said nothing, just stepped closer. Jonas raised his hands. "You're not going to shoot me, not if you work for the ones who put her here." The man paused. Jonas took a slow breath. "Because if you kill me, there's no one to tell you where the boy is." Silence. Then the weapon powered down. The man's head tilted. "You have them, child?" His voice was deep, distorted through the helmet. Jonas didn't answer. He let the moment stretch. Then said, "Trade." The man stepped forward. "You give me the child, I'll spare your life." Jonas shook his head. "You don't get to make deals. Not anymore." In one fast move, Jonas threw the flashlight into the man's face. Darkness fell. The man shouted. Jonas grabbed the rod from his belt and swung. Metal hit armor. Pain shot up his arm. The man stumbled, but didn't fall. Jonas didn't. "Wait." He turned, grabbed the woman by the waist and dragged her out of the chains. The lock snapped. It hadn't been real. It was a magnetic hold, released by motion. She could have crawled away, if she hadn't been too weak. Jonas pulled her up. Gunfire echoed behind him. Sparks flew off the wall. He ran. The woman limped beside him, weak but moving. They ran through puddles, gasping, turning corners. Until finally, light. He kicked open the sewer grate. The boy gasped from the crate where he waited. "Mama." He jumped down. She collapsed into his arms. Tears fell, hers and his. Jonas stood beside them, breathing hard, one hand on the wall to stay upright. The boy looked up. "You found her?" Jonas nodded, and from the tunnel behind them a new sound rose. More footsteps. The door slammed behind them. Jonas dropped the metal bar across the frame. The old storage unit was barely a room, dusty walls, cracked ceiling, one dim light. But right now, it was the only shelter they had. The alien woman sat against the wall, holding her child tightly. Her skin was pale and her breathing shaky, but her arms were strong around her son. Jonas watched her, still catching his breath. "You're safe now," he said. But her eyes didn't believe it. She looked up at him. "You don't know what you've done." Jonas frowned. "I helped you, that's all." She shook her head. "No. You've crossed something bigger than you understand." She pulled her child close and whispered something in a different language, soft and fast. The boy clung tighter. Jonas stepped closer. "Who were those people? Why were you chained like that?" The woman hesitated, then spoke slowly. "Because I refused to give up my child." She looked Jonas in the eye. "They call it a harvest program. They offer shelter to desperate refugees, then take the children. The ones who are young, unmarked, untouched by war. They say it's for science, for repopulation projects." She gritted her teeth. "But they lie." Jonas's jaw tightened. "How long's this been happening?" She looked down. "Years. Maybe more. Why doesn't anyone stop it?" She gave a bitter laugh. "Because they don't see us as people. Only numbers." Jonas sat down across from her. "What's your name?" She paused, then spoke, voice low. "Thera." Jonas nodded. "And your son?" She looked at the boy who had fallen asleep in her arms. "Kel." Jonas reached into his pocket and pulled out a small energy packet. "Here. It's not much, but it'll warm you both." She took it with a nod of thanks, pressing the heating pack between them. Then her face hardened again. "You shouldn't have followed his cry." Jonas blinked. "What?" "You should have walked away like everyone else." Jonas leaned back, arms crossed. "I don't do that." Thera narrowed her eyes. "You will now. If they saw your face, if they scanned your ID, you're marked. They'll come." Jonas stayed silent for a moment, then asked, "What if we ran?" I've got a small ship, nothing fancy, but it flies." Thera looked exhausted. "They'll find us. They track everything, smell, heat, breath pattern. Then we outsmart them." She shook her head. "You don't get it? You're not like us. They'll warn you once, maybe even offer you money, but if you don't hand us over..." She trailed off. Jonas finished her sentence. "They'll kill me." Outside, thunder rolled low in the sky. Jonas stood and walked to the broken window, looking out. He saw shadows moving in the street. Too calm, too steady. Not police, not guards, hunters. He turned back. "You said they take the children. What happens to the mothers?" Thera's eyes filled with tears, but they didn't fall. "We become samples, that's what they call it. We are tested, cut, measured, left to rot." Jonas looked at her wrist, still bruised from the chains. "And your son?" She looked at the boy again. "I hid him in the sewer. In the water. Cold keeps them from scanning. I told him not to move. He obeyed. He waited." She smiled a little. "Even when I didn't come back." Jonas paced the room. "We have to move. Now." Thera didn't argue. She gently lifted Kel, still sleeping, and wrapped him in her arms. Jonas reached under a loose floorboard and pulled out a thin gray coat and a fake ID chip. "Put this on. The chip will mask your scent and heat. Won't last forever, but it'll get us through the first gate." Thera nodded. "Why are you helping us?" she asked. Jonas paused, then answered quietly. "Because no one helped my sister." She tilted her head. Jonas didn't explain. He just opened the door. The street was dark but quiet. Too quiet. "Stay close," he said. Thera stepped out holding Kel. Jonas followed, metal rod in hand, coat tight, heart steady. He didn't know where the path would end. But he knew one thing. He wouldn't let them cry alone in the dark again. The air outside was thick, too still, like the street itself was holding its breath. Jonas pressed his back to the wall and scanned the alley. Trash bins, rusted metal, a flickering light overhead. Then he saw it, a shadow, moving on the rooftop, fast, watching. "Keep your head down," Jonas whispered. Thera held Kel tighter and nodded. They started walking. Not fast, not slow, just normal. That was the trick. Don't look scared. Don't run. Don't give them a reason to shoot. The gate to the outer zone was 2 blocks away. Jonas had a small transport parked near a scrapyard past it. If they could reach it, they could vanish into the lower orbit lanes, but first, they had to pass the scanners. He turned to Thera. "When we reach the checkpoint, don't speak. Let the chip do its work." Thera looked pale. "If it fails?" Jonas looked ahead. "Then I fight." They moved down the street. Kel's small head rested on her shoulder. His eyes opened slowly. He looked up at the sky, then at Jonas. "Are we going to the stars?" he whispered. Jonas gave a soft nod. "That's the plan." A small smile appeared on the child's face. "Can we bring Mama too?" Thera let out a quiet breath. Jonas smiled. Of course. The gate was close now. Jonas could see the glowing scan posts, tall and silver. 2 bored guards stood beside them, both in gray armor. Behind the gate, freedom. Beyond that, stars. But between them, danger. "Let's go," Jonas said softly. They walked forward. The scanners buzzed as Jonas stepped through. Green light flashed. As he turned back. Thera stepped through, holding Kel close. The scanner paused, buzzed again. Yellow light flickered. Jonas's heart stopped. Then, green, pass. He exhaled slowly. They made it. But behind them, one of the guards raised a comm. "Wait," the other said, looking up. "What's that on the roof?" Jonas didn't look back. "Keep walking," he whispered. They moved faster now, turned the corner. Didn't run, not yet. Then the sound came. "Alert! Target escaped. Lock down gate 12. Jonas grabbed Thera's hand. "Run!" They sprinted. Boots pounded behind them. Shouts filled the air. Sirens flared. Jonas turned sharply into the scrapyard, metal towers rising around them like a twisted maze. "Stay with me," he yelled. He pulled them between the piles, past old droids and rusted engines. Shots rang out, laser bursts striking metal, sparks flying. Thera tripped. Jonas caught her. Kel screamed. They kept moving. At the far end, hidden behind a half-crushed shuttle, Jonas's old cargo speeder sat waiting. Dusty, but alive. He slammed the door open. "Get in." Thera and Kel climbed in fast. Jonas jumped in, started the engine. It sputtered, then roared. He hit the thrusters. The speeder lifted. Guards reached the edge of the yard, firing, but Jonas turned hard. The speeder shot upward, crashing through, a sheet of old metal and into the sky. Silence fell inside the cabin. Thera held her son close, shaking. Jonas kept flying, eyes fixed on the stars ahead. After a long moment, he said, "That was too close." Thera looked at him. "Why do you keep risking everything?" Jonas didn't answer at first, then he said, "Because someone has to." They reached the edge of the lower orbit zone. Jonas activated a false ID code, one of his old smuggler tricks. A soft chime confirmed it. They were in the clear. For now. Kel looked out the window. "Is that space?" Jonas smiled. "Almost." Thera looked down at her bruised arms, then out at the stars. She whispered, "You've given us something we never thought we'd see again." Jonas raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" She looked at her son, sleeping safely in her lap, and said, "A second chance." The stars outside were silent. Jonas flew the speeder ship through empty space, guiding it toward a hidden station between trade routes. No signs, no maps, just metal and shadows. floating where law couldn't follow. They called it Hollow Rock, a place where no questions were asked, where you disappeared if you had the credits or the courage. Thera sat in the back, her son asleep in her arms again. She hadn't said much since they escaped. Jonas glanced at her. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "I still feel like we're being followed." Jonas checked the radar. Nothing behind us. But Hollow Rock isn't safe either. We land, get what we need, and leave. Fast. She looked out the window. "Where will we go?" Jonas paused. "Somewhere no one's crying in sewer water." The ship docked at a small metal bay. Rust covered the walls. The air outside was thick and smoky. Jonas put on his coat, opened a hidden compartment, and handed Thera a gray scarf. "Cover your face. They'll think you're just another traitor." She nodded. He tapped a button and the doors opened. Outside, the Hollow Rock buzzed with quiet danger. Aliens from all over the galaxy moved through the narrow steel corridors, selling, stealing, surviving. Jonas knew this place too well. It was where he used to come when he had nothing left to lose. He led them through a side tunnel. Down, then left, into a dark metal room with blinking lights and one old alien sitting behind a desk. "Shiv," Jonas said. The old alien looked up. His eyes were green slits, his voice was rough. "Jonas, thought you were dead." "Not yet." Shiv leaned forward. "What do you want?" "New IDs. Fast ship. 2 passengers." Shiv looked past him, saw Thera and Kel. "They look hunted." Jonas didn't blink. "They are." Shiv sighed. "Danger follows you like stink on fuel." He tapped on the screen. 5,000 credits. Jonas shook his head. "I've got 3, and I saved your life on Raxa 5, remember?" Shiv grunted. "Fine, 4. Old favors don't pay my rent." Jonas handed over a chip. Shiv slid it through his reader, then said something strange. "You know, someone else came asking about a blue-skinned woman and a child." Jonas's eyes narrowed. "Who?" Shiv leaned back. "Didn't ask. Didn't tell." Jonas's hand moved to the metal rod at his belt. "Shiv, if you sold us out—" "I didn't," the old alien snapped. "But if I were you, I'd get moving. Someone out there wants her badly." They left fast, through back halls, toward a hangar bay where Shiv's old ship waited, a rusty but working long-range flyer with fresh fuel cells. Jonas opened the hatch. Thera climbed in with Kel. He turned to follow, and froze. Across the hangar, a black armored figure stood, helmeted, watching, just like the one from the tunnel. Jonas stepped forward. The figure didn't move. Jonas raised his voice. "You followed us all the way here?" The figure lifted a small device. It blinked red. "A tracker." "You brought her to the edge of freedom," the voice growled. "But the program owns her. And the boy." Jonas pulled the metal rod from his side. "Then you'll have to go through me." The man laughed. "Do you really think one human can stop us?" Jonas stepped forward. "No." Then he tapped his wrist. From the ship behind him, a deep roar echoed. Mechanical, fierce. A hidden drone, Jonas's last line of defense, launched, out. Red lights blinking. The black armored man turned. Too late. The drone slammed into him. Explosion. Fire. The hangar shook. Jonas ran into the ship, hit the controls, and shouted, "Hold on!" The engines fired. The ship lifted. And just before the door closed, Jonas saw others running in. More men in black. But they were too late. The ship blasted away from Hollow Rock. Inside, Thera looked at Jonas. "You risked your life. Again." He sat down, breath heavy. "You're not a cargo. You're not a number. You're a mother and a child. That means something." Kel opened his eyes. "Mama?" She smiled softly. "Yes, baby. We're okay now." Jonas looked at the stars ahead. He didn't know where they were going next, but he knew why. The stars outside were calm, but inside the ship, Jonas couldn't sleep. He sat alone in the cockpit, staring at the glowing screen. No alerts, no signals. Just deep space stretching forever. They had jumped far beyond Hollow Rock, far from trade lanes, far from war zones. But peace? Still not close. Behind him, Thera gently rocked Kel to sleep. The boy's small chest rose and fell, finally calm after nights of running. Jonas looked over his shoulder. They sleeping? Thera nodded. He whispered in his sleep, said your name. Jonas raised an eyebrow. He trusts you, she added. Jonas tried to smile. Guess I'm getting soft. She looked at him. You're not soft. You're rare. The quiet didn't last. The ship's monitor beeped once. Then again. Jonas leaned forward. Unregistered signal. Weak. He tapped a few keys. The screen lit up with strange symbols. They pulsed like a heartbeat. Thera stepped closer. What is that? Jonas frowned. It's a coded distress call. From who? I don't know, but it's not human tech. And it's old. Really old. The signal repeated. A female voice, broken and ghostly, whispered something in a language Jonas didn't know. Thera listened. Then her eyes widened. That's my people's language. Jonas turned to her. What's it saying? She closed her eyes and translated slowly. They took us, separated the mothers, burned the names. We are not lost. We are waiting. Jonas's jaw tightened. It's a message from the past? Thera whispered. No. It's a message from those still. Jonas stood up. Where's it coming from? Coordinates, near the Nabal Rift. But that's forbidden space. Good. Thera blinked. Good? Jonas nodded. No one from the program will follow us there. If this message is from others like you, we need to hear what they know. Thera looked torn. If we go, we might not return. Jonas stared at her. If we don't go, they'll never stop hunting us. The ship changed course, toward the Nabal Rift, toward the unknown. For hours they floated through black clouds and sharp gravity fields. The stars thinned out. The signal grew stronger. Until a ship appeared, old, broken, but alive. It floated near, a dead moon, lights flickering weakly. Jonas approached slowly. A voice crackled over the comms. State your purpose, Jonas answered. We followed your signal. We have a mother and child. They were targets of the Harvest program. Silence. Then, dock, slowly. No weapons. Jonas obeyed. The ships connected. A door opened. Inside waited 5 alien women, all scarred, all armed. Their leader stepped forward. Her skin was cracked like glass, eyes glowing faintly. She looked at Thera, spoke a word in their language. Thera nodded, eyes wet. Then the woman turned to Jonas. You are human. You helped her? Jonas nodded. Why? He answered simply. Because no one else did. They led the group inside. The ship's halls were cold, but full of soft lights and quiet whispers. Other children peeked from behind doors. Small, alien, wide-eyed. Jonas realized this wasn't just a ship. It was a shelter, a secret place for the forgotten. They entered a wide chamber. Screens filled the walls, showing maps, files, intercepted codes. The leader pointed to one. This is what you need to see. Jonas stepped closer. His face turned pale. Dozens of human, names, photos, fingerprints, even his Thyra stepped forward. What is this? The leader spoke. The program doesn't just take children. It marks anyone who helps them, including humans. Jonas stared. My name's on that list. Yes, she said. They've been watching you since the day you picked up that boy. Jonas felt cold. This is bigger than I thought. The leader nodded. But knowledge is power. And now you know. Kel peeked out from behind Thera. The alien leader knelt. To him, you're safe here, child, for now. Then she looked at Jonas. You've done something no other human has in years. What's that? You didn't walk away. Jonas sat in the dark, staring at the stars beyond the cracked window of the old alien ship. He could hear the children laughing softly down the hall. Safe. For now. Thera stood behind him, holding Kel's small hand. But her face wasn't at peace. It was focused, worried, ready. The alien leader entered the room. Her eyes glowed faintly and her voice was steady. "We intercepted another signal," she said. "They're coming. 10 ships. Military." Jonas nodded slowly. "So they know where we are?" She nodded back. "Your ship's old tracking system was pinged the moment you jumped into the rift. They let you come. They wanted to see who else was hiding." Jonas clenched his fists. "Then they'll find us ready." The leader looked surprised. "You don't have to stay. You can take Thera and the child. Run. Disappear." Jonas stood and faced her. "No. I'm done running. You said it yourself. Knowledge is power. Then let's use it." She stepped closer. "And fight?" "Yes." He looked at Thera. "And if we fall, at least we fall protecting something real." Thera placed a hand on his arm. "No," she said. "If we fall, they rise. Our children. Our stories, our truth." Jonas smiled. Kel looked up at him. "Will there be fighting, Jonas?" Jonas knelt down. "Maybe. But you won't be part of it. You'll be safe. I promise." Kel nodded quietly, then hugged him. "I'm not scared anymore." Preparations began. The shelter ship turned into a fortress. Old defense drones were reactivated, wounded. Mothers stood guard with blasters, ready to defend what little they had. Jonas worked side by side with them, fixing shields, running power to failing lights, reprogramming the last few auto turrets. It wasn't much, but it was hope. And that was more than they had yesterday. As the enemy fleet neared, a quiet stillness fell. The children were hidden in deep core chambers. Thera helped them stay calm. The alien leader stood on the bridge beside Jonas. "They're hailing us," she said. Jonas folded his arms. "Let them talk." A voice filled the room, cold, robotic, familiar. "Return the marked female and child, and the human or this vessel will be erased." Jonas leaned forward and pressed the comm. "You want us?" Pause. "Yes." "Then come get us." They attacked within seconds. Lasers lit the black sky. The shelter ship shook, but it held. For now. Inside, Jonas ran through the halls, repairing shield lines, helping one mother carry her wounded sister to safety. He saw fear, but also something stronger. Unity. They weren't victims anymore, they were fighters. On the bridge, Thera took the comm, her voice was calm. "This is Thera of the broken chain. You hunted us. You caged us. You called us weak." She looked at Kel. "But today, we stand." She pressed the mic off. The alien leader smiled faintly. "You speak like a queen?" Thera shrugged. "No, like a mother." The enemy boarded. 2 black-armored soldiers forced their way into the docking bay, but Jonas was waiting. He hit the EMP blast. Their suits sparked and shut down. They collapsed. Unmoving. Jonas tossed the rod aside and whispered, "Not today." Hours passed. The fight pushed them to the edge, but something unexpected happened. Help came. Old ships from other forgotten refugees. Mothers, fathers, survivors jumped in. Small. Weak. But together, strong. They had been watching. Waiting. And Jonas's signal sent just before the attack had reached them. The enemy fled. Their pride shattered, their plan broken. And in the end, no one died in the children's chamber, not one. Later, Jonas stood at the edge of the old hangar. Thera stood beside him, arms wrapped around Kel. The alien leader approached. "You changed everything," she said. Jonas looked up at the stars. "No, we did." Thera reached out and held Jonas's hand. Kel smiled, his other hand holding Jonas's sleeve tightly. Thera whispered, "You asked me once where we would go." He nodded. She smiled. "Let's go where no mother cries alone, and no child is forgotten." Jonas looked at her, then at the ship, the people, the stars, and said, "Then let's build that place together."